Hello, beautiful students. Today we're going to be working on part 2 of Mr. Moon. On the first day of kindergarten, I always teach my students part 1 of Mr. Moon. That's the part you remember that goes, Mr. Moon, you're out too soon. Later on, we learn part 3. That's the easy part that just goes cuckoo 8 times. Today we're going to learn part 2. Part 2 has a lot of words that we don't use necessarily the way they're used in this song, so sometimes it's a little challenging for us to get them. So what I'm going to do right now is play part 2 for you and sing it for you, and then I'll go step by step so we can learn it together. Part 2 goes like this. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant forest, the cuckoo answers clear. That's part 2. It's not very long, but like I said, the words can be a little confusing. So let's go through it part by part. Part 2 talks about an old battered elm tree. It talks about an owl, it talks about a distant forest, and a cuckoo bird. First, it talks about an old elm tree. And in the song, we use the word battered. Battered is just a fancy way of saying that it's been beaten up by the weather. Things like the wind, lightning, maybe snowstorms with lots of heavy snow. Things that can break the branches off of a tree. Elm trees can live to be over 100 years old, but eventually they do get weaker from all that time out in the weather. And eventually, after they've been battered by the weather long enough, maybe this branch fell off and this branch fell off and all the other branches are gone, and we're left with just an old tree trunk. No leaves, looks like it's completely dead. Well, it might be a dead tree, but inside that battered elm tree, what's left, that trunk, there's a lot of things living there. Now little mice can go in under the roots or even work their way into the wood, and they can make their little homes. Termites might go into the tree and eat the tree and make lots of tunnels inside the wood. And where the big branches used to be attached, sometimes when they fall off, they leave a hole. And inside that hole, we can have birds. Birds that could be as small as hummingbirds or as big as owls. And they make their homes inside those holes. That's what this song says, that from that battered elm tree, a hole there, there's an owl calling out, "Who's there?" So from out of the battered elm tree, the owl is crying out, "Who's there?" Maybe he's a little lonely and he wants to know who else is around. Maybe he wants to go play. So from out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from far away, the song says in the distance, there's a forest, and it calls it a distant forest. So it says from the distant forest, far away, the owl hears the sound of a little bird called a cuckoo. And the cuckoo, when it sings, it actually sings its name. It sings cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And in the song it says the cuckoo answers clear. When we say it answers clear, that means we can hear its voice and its name loud and clear. That's part 2 of the song. So let's do a little repeat after me. I'll sing a part and then you sing after me. Ready? From out the battered elm tree. Your turn. From out the battered elm tree. The next part sounds like this. The owl cries out, "Who's there?" You try that. The owl cries out, "Who's there?" The next part sounds like this. And from the distant forest. You try that. And from the distant forest. The last part sounds like this. The cuckoo answers clear. From out the battered elm tree. Here we go. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" The owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant forest, and from the distant forest, the cuckoo answers clear. The cuckoo answers clear. We're going to do the whole song, Mr. Moon, Part 1, The Battered Elm Tree, Part 2, Cuckoo, Part 3, and then back to Part 1, Mr. Moon. Mr. Moon, you're out too soon. The sun is still in the sky. Go back to your bed and cover up your head and wait till the day goes by. From out the battered elm tree, the owl cries out, "Who's there?" And from the distant forest, the cuckoo answers clear. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Mr. Moon